Greetings, everyone. Steve, the amateur historian, coming to you from right outside the Moda Center, where I actually think the Blazers are playing a game tonight. Tonight is of this recording, probably not when it gets posted. But I'm venturing on through the Rose Quarter here to get to the other side. I'm on the south side of it right now, but I want to get to the north side to bring you my next episode of Historic Murders of Portland. So it's supposed to say Rip City, but the I is gone. So I guess Rip County now. But anyway, here I am walking through the Rose Quarter and trying to get to the other side because I'm going to bring you a story, and it's really tragic and it's really representative of the time. I mean, things really haven't changed too much, but still, it's important to note that in the earlier days of Portland, it did not take a lot for a man to, one, presume that his wife was cheating on her. Again, as have things changed that much? But beyond that, it wasn't all that uncommon for a husband to then lose his damn mind and take his wife's life because of presumptions of infidelity. And that's what this story is about. This is about a guy named John Butchek, B-U-T-C-H-E-K. I'm not sure exactly what nationality that is, but this is the man that I'm talking about in this regard, in terms of one who gets so psychotically jealous that without any evidence, man can and could feel justified in taking the life of a woman that he supposedly loved. So, specifically, it's January 14th, 1926. When things reach a peak. John Butchek, 46, Portland resident, wife, children, and apparently a bit of a screw loose. This is going to be a bit of a cluster getting there, because I'm trying to get us to the site of the Butchek home, which before the development of the Rose Quarter here, this was almost all residential. Obviously there's a few buildings peppered in that are commercial buildings from way back when, but this was predominantly residential, and the Butcheks lived right in this direction. I just don't know how I'm gonna get there. Oh, there's a crosswalk, okay. Success. And this is very just kind of pushed back in a corner industrial. That being said, I'm coming up to Dixon. Benton's the next street down, so the Butcheks lived right over here. So again, January 14th, 1926. John Butchek shows up out of nowhere at a police precinct and tells them in no uncertain terms that he's just murdered his wife. And Butchek's personal story, now again, I don't know exactly what side they lived on. I don't know if Benton continued through here or what exactly, but this is the intersection right here that they lived at. And it's interesting, there's like Oh, I guess it's just layered. I thought this was an old staircase. But I guess I was wrong. But as John Butchek puts it, January 14th, him and his wife get into a very vicious, aggressive fight. Probably him accusing her of infidelity and her saying, "What the hell are you even talking about?" And it builds and it builds and it builds, and it seems like John Butchek is more the aggressor. But apparently, as his story goes, and I'm not sure what his children saw, how much they verify or disprove his story, because I know they had children who had their own perspectives on the case. And John Butchek claims at the peak of this tussle, his wife ran and grabbed a broom and came at him with it, and he was able to, disarm her, so to speak. So she decided to one-up the situation. She lost her broom. She saw his broom and she raised him a little hatchet and a Scrabble piece. Sorry, that was bizarre. So she went and grabbed a hatchet. Now, I don't know if this was like a little, axe type hatchet, or if it was maybe just kind of a meat cleaver type thing, but it was described as a little hatchet, short-handled hatchet. And then she came at him with that, and he was able to disarm her again. And his description, which sounds so ridiculous, is amidst the tussle, and the fighting, he ended up striking her with the hatchet, and that's what killed her. The problem with that story is he struck her many, many, many times with that hatchet, practically obliterated his wife's head. So I find it very hard to believe, and of course the wife passes, so she can't tell her side of the story. But I find it very hard to believe that the one who is the aggressor, the husband, would be the one who's having to disarm the other person in the relationship because they just are losing their mind. I think much more likely they were probably having a fight. He snapped. He'd probably snapped many times before, but he snapped to another level, and right here near this intersection brutally hatcheted his wife to death. And why would I say that he finally snapped? Well, according to even his own children, they felt that as time had passed, even independent of their dad's, feelings that their wife, or that his wife, not their wife, his wife was cheating on him with another man, they said that over time he just seemed to be kind of coming apart. He was collapsing into mental illness, is essentially what it seems. So it's not a far cry to think that he fabricated these feelings that his wife was cheating on him in his own mind. And even the Butchek's children said that they saw no proof whatsoever that their mother was cheating on their father. But he became thoroughly convinced in his mind that she was. He started, and it was interesting, one of the early newspaper articles I read, it noted that he had been unemployed for a while, and people thought, okay, maybe he's pissed because he can't find work. They're flat broke. They have a fight. Maybe his wife calls him a cheap bastard because he can't hold on to a job. And that maybe escalated things. But one of the reasons that I think, probably the reason, that John Butchek became unemployed shortly before killing his wife was he started staying home from work to spy on his wife. He was constantly had her under surveillance, because he thought at any given moment she's going to run off with some other guy. So I'm thinking the fact that he started staying home from work all the time to spy on his wife probably the reason that he lost his job. And their children even reported a time where he had snapped otherwise, and he beat his wife up. He beat their mother up. And then he got down on his knees and groveled and begged and pleaded for her to forgive him and to not call the police and have him sent to jail. And it seems that worked, because I don't think he went to jail for that. So we do have a past where he showed violence against his wife. And this is straight from the mouths of his children in the aftermath of this killing. It happened right here at Benton, North Benton and Dixon. So it seemed pretty clear when all was said and done. Butchek turned himself in willingly. His family said he was starting to lose his mind. And then we have a man who hatchets his wife to death. And another piece of information that came out that showed how nutso, whether clinically or just by our figurative understanding of what a crazy person is like. After he murdered his wife here and was on his way to the police station, which there may have been a precinct over here somewhere. He may have had to go across the river to downtown. I'm not sure exactly what precinct he went to. It just says he showed up at a police station. Before he went to the police station to say, oh, hey guys, how's it going? I just murdered my wife. He went to a barber shop and got a haircut and a shave. I guess he wanted to walk into the police station looking clean cut and charming. I don't know. And I'm very sure that Butchek's attorneys, when he went to court charged for first-degree murder, I'm sure they thought they'd be able to get him off. I'm sure, Butchek had this story about how it was an accident. It happened at the height of a fight and that the wife, instigated the hostilities, which, of course, anybody with half a brain would say, okay, I understand you maybe banging her on the side of the head, maybe hitting her once, but numerous times. The police showed up and, it was a disgusting, gruesome murder site, so it wasn't an accident. I don't care what way his lawyers tried to shape it up. But I'm sure they thought they could at least get him an insanity plea based on everything I've just discussed. But, murders like that, way back then, it's the 1920s, and a man who hatchets up his wife, it's one of those cases that there could be all the evidence in the world that this person is mentally ill, and it's still going to be really hard to get him an insanity plea. The public is so going to want someone to fry, especially 100 years ago. So they're going to want someone to go to the gas chamber or the guillotine or whatever they were using for a crime that cruel and inhumane. And I also love the fact that today there's like a Portland Public School building here. Hey kids, want to do a tour of the Portland Public School Education Services building? First things first, did you know that right here at this block where you walk in, pull into the place, there was a guy that used a hatchet and hacked his wife up? Back in 1926, did you know that? Are you scared yet? Not that Portland Public Schools are that great at teaching history, but... So, despite efforts to play the insanity card, Butchek was convicted on first-degree murder and sentenced to hang. But because of all these, circumstances surrounding the case, appeal after appeal after appeal was filed, and it wouldn't be until it was, I want to say, almost a year later, because it was April 1926 is when Butchek was convicted. And finally, after all the appeals, he finally lost all of them. And on June 10th, 1927, at approximately 8:30 p.m., John Butchek was hung for the murder of his wife. That happened right here, back in 1926. Wow. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little tidbit from 1920s Portland. And remember, as always, guys, to like, share, subscribe, and hit up my Patreon if you want to help me out that way. help me do more of these episodes. Help me find the time to do more episodes such as this. And until next time, from the site where John Butchek murdered his wife back in 1926, this has been Steve the Amateur Historian with another episode of Historic Murders of Portland.